Today, Emily Miller of Big Red Rooster on why quick service restaurant workers matter. We're going to be talking about holiday supply chain and labor fears. Rihanna breaks into brick and mortar retail. All of that plus the retail challenge right now on everything we know about retail. Hi, my name is James Cook. I am coming to you from Indiana. Ebere Anokute is in New York. Hello, Ebere.
How's it going, James? Welcome back. We're happy to have you back.
Yes. I was traveling last week. I was in San Francisco. But I'm happy to be here on everything we know about retail. This is the show where we tell all of you everything we know about retail, but we only do it 3 things at a time. I don't believe in messing around. I like to get into it. So, Ebere, what do you know about retail?
James, here is the first thing that we know about retail. So it's very clear, on the topic of Rihanna, right? Which is one of my favorite topics. I don't know about you.
I know very little about Rihanna. I think she's been in a movie I've seen. Wasn't she in Valerian? Is that?
I guess, yeah, she was.
That's pretty much what I know about her.
Fair enough. Yeah, she has been acting a lot more in recent years, but she obviously is a musician. That's I think what most people know her from, and she's made a lot of major business plays in the last 3 years. So much so that it's actually culminated in Forbes declaring her a billionaire this year. So she's now the wealthiest female musician in the world, right? But the music isn't even what has gotten her there. It's been her, consumer products that she's branched into, namely Fenty Beauty, Fenty Skin, and Savage X Fenty, which is her lingerie line. And now her next biggest play is going to be breaking into brick and mortar retail with the Savage X Fenty line. So they've announced that they're planning to open physical stores in 2022. Specifically, I'll read the quote from the co-president of Savage X Fenty. Her name is Christiane Pendarvis, and she says that retail is an important part of our growth strategy, so you'll absolutely see some stores in 2022. Right. So that to me is a pretty, that's a firm announcement. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing those stores next year. I tried to add a picture in, but my computer's been going crazy today, so it didn't upload. But apparently she's definitely experimented with pop-ups in the past. And so I had a picture of one of those. But she also highlighted that the reason that they want to break into the physical store space is because there are some customers who don't feel comfortable buying those items online. Right. So obviously it's, sleepwear and lingerie and loungewear, things like that, stuff that you can, maybe buy online, but I think it would be better to kind of feel. And, there's definitely an advantage to going in person and seeing that stuff. So they're going to be opening their own physical stores. It's not going to be like the store within a store sort of trend that has become popular in recent years. And they're going to start in the US, but hope to eventually experiment with some pop-ups in Europe as well. So this is definitely a huge move for her. Right now, Fenty Beauty, the beauty brand she owns, is worth $2.8 billion, right? And she owns about 50% of that, which is where a lot of her wealth comes from. And Savage X, where they're going to be expanding into, is worth around $270 million. So I definitely think that this is a smart move for her as far as how to, optimize sales for Savage X. Again, because buying stuff like that may just be easier in person and with the ability to kind of, experience that stuff in real life. Whereas Fenty Beauty currently is available in Sephora stores all across the world. They're also available in Kohl's in the United States, and in Europe, they're available in Harvey Nichols and Boots. So it makes sense that, opening their own brick and mortar stores for Savage Fenty would be the next big move for her. And I think, it's just a great example of another digitally native brand that has, announced plans to expand into brick and mortar. This is a trend that we've been seeing and, focusing on for, I'd say, the last 3 or 4, maybe 5 years. So this is just a really cool addition to that trend. And this announcement is actually coming right after the 3rd installment of her Savage Fenty fashion show. Did you get a chance to catch that, James? It was on Amazon Prime.
I might have missed it. Did you watch it?
I did watch it. It was interesting. This is the 3rd time she's done it, right? So this was volume 3. I'm not a critic, but I thought the first two volumes were a little bit more interesting than the third one. But it's interesting to me that this was announced right after it streamed. It was available for stream on Amazon, because right after that, the Savage Fenty pieces that were in the video also became available for purchase on Amazon, right? So I think this really highlights the omni-channel aspect of retail today, right? This is one of the most emerging and hyped up brands of the moment, and they're making it very clear that the path to success for them is not just online, right? Because they're digitally native, but it's going to be expanding the online options, making it even easier with Amazon, because that's the easiest delivery I can think of, and then also opening brick and mortar stores. So this is definitely a really exciting announcement. And although actually they do have some pieces for men. I was going to say I can't do much shopping there, but they do have some pieces for men. They have robes and pajama pants and like some boxers and stuff. So maybe if they open a store in New York, I'm definitely gonna go by and then see what's going on there. Where do you think would be the first store they'd open, James? Do you think it would be in New York?
Oh boy, it's gonna be New York or LA.
Yeah,
If I had to guess. And I don't know the brand that well, but like Soho, or if it was in LA, maybe even like Abbot Kinney in Venice, something like that.
definitely.
And then occasionally they throw a curveball and we'll open up a store, their first store in Austin, Texas or something like that. So we'll have to wait
Yeah,
and see.
we'll have
We'll
to wait.
visit it though when it opens, right?
Absolutely, we'll do a little video or something like this. Maybe we'll report live from Savage Fenty for one of the Everything We Know shows. But definitely looking forward to that. But until that happens, until we're able to film that, James, tell me, what do you know about retail?
Well, Eber, here's the second thing that we know about retail. We've got Emily Albright Miller in the house. Welcome, Emily.
Hi, thanks for
Hi,
having
Emily.
me.
Yes, Emily is the Senior Vice President of Strategy and Insights at Big Red Rooster, which is a JLL company. So she is a coworker. Emily, you're joining us from Columbus, Ohio, which I think people outside of the U.S. and even some people inside the U.S. don't quite realize how important Columbus, Ohio is to retail. It's sort of like a retail industry hub, right?
Yeah, we're the third biggest in the country when it comes to retail industry as a profession and the amount of jobs available. Just a lot of great brands have started in Columbus, and all of the support services that have grown up around those businesses has resulting in a pretty interesting community. So I'm Columbus born and bred, been in retail my whole career. So it's worked out pretty well for me.
Yeah, I did not, I was not even aware of that until, I got into the industry, and you just run across so many different companies and support, design, retailers that are all based in Columbus. So we brought you in because you're conducting research about employees at quick service restaurants. What was the research that you conducted?
So we wanted to understand, with all the innovation that has happened in the past year and a half, a lot of which involves alternative fulfillment and technology that's kind of shaking up the QSR industry and the role of the employee. And at the same time, there's this labor shortage, and we're really struggling to find the staff we need to support these businesses. We wanted to understand what was happening with that, and specifically what was happening to the brand experience. So we conducted some research, an online quantitative study, 1,000 US adults, census balanced, to understand what impact the employee was having on their QSR brand experience.
Okay, so question. I know I have my answer to this, but let's see what the survey said. Are restaurant employees important to the experience?
So we suspected, going in, that sure, they would be important to the experience, but we didn't expect the extent to which consumers would tell us how important those employees are. So we started by asking them, who has the most control over your brand experience? Is it the company? Is it the employees, or is it the consumer themselves? And over 57% of respondents said it's the employee that has the most control over my brand experience, and ultimately my satisfaction with that experience. 28% said it was the company itself, and only 15% felt that the consumer had control over the experience. And we asked some more questions to understand that a little bit deeper. We actually took 10 QSR restaurants, and we asked employees to tell us about their last experience and to rate that on a set of service attributes. We then separately asked consumers about their overall satisfaction with their experience. And we ran a statistical analysis that helped us understand correlation and which of the service attributes were most highly correlated with satisfaction. And what we found is the top 6 most highly correlated attributes all had to do with the employee. So things like the employee's mood or attitude, the consumer feeling cared about as a guest, employee friendliness, employee attentiveness, employee hygiene. Those were all at the top of the list. And lower on the list were things like order accuracy, wait time to get my order, ability to pay for my order through a variety of different methods. So it's interesting because those are the things that as a QSR industry, we've always rated ourselves on and we've always focused on. And there seems to be this shift happening where the employee is now becoming critical to that experience at a time when we can't get enough employees to even keep our normal hours of operation.
Yeah. Yeah, employees really do seem even more critical than, we sort of imagined. I know that there was kind of a time, and this is now might have been a while ago, where people were cutting stores some slack because of the pandemic, understanding that demand was higher. Are people still, is there sort of a grace period going on, or is that past us now?
Well, I think it depends on who you ask. I still feel I am allowing my QSR experiences that grace period. I think some consumers are very patient and understanding while others are not. And they are ready for things to be back to normal. And we're hearing a lot from employees about how they're being treated by consumers. And employees, we're actually doing another, so we got the consumer perspective and we immediately wanted to understand, okay, well then what's the employee perspective? How can they, what can companies do to attract them and become that employer of choice? So we're actually in field right now this week with a study with over 150 employees of large national chains of retail and restaurant organizations. And many of those employees are telling us that one of the reasons they're leaving is because of how they're being treated by consumers. And I've actually been very fascinated by this dynamic. Again, this is something I feel like is new. This wasn't a big part of our conversation. It's not that it wasn't happening, but it wasn't as pervasive and it wasn't such a big part of our conversation in the last few years. And I'm now seeing these signs that are being created at different individual restaurants posted. You guys have probably seen them posted often in the drive-through window, maybe at the front of the store, and they're asking consumers essentially to extend that grace period, right? So I have one that I've been taking pictures of them just because I think they're interesting to track and document. But I went to the Tropical Smoothie Cafe here in Columbus the other day, one of my kids' favorites, and there was a sign on the window right next to the "We're hiring" sign. There was another sign that had been just printed on the computer in the back room, and it said, "The whole world is short-staffed. Be kind to those who showed up." They're asking for kindness. Or I saw one at my Dairy Queen last week as well. We've been eating a lot of QSR this week, and it was talking about the new store hours, announcing that they had to change their hours, and that once their staffing levels increased, they would resume their normal business hours. But they were saying, thank you for your support, your understanding, and your kindness during these trying times as we do our best to provide you great service. So it's really interesting that at the most hyper localized point of contact, you're seeing these employees kind of ask for forgiveness.
And it seems to me like that is partly not that, it's not that people are worse customers now. It really is about staffing, I would say, because if you're well staffed and you deal with a difficult customer, somebody can come in and say, hey, let me take the register. Why don't you go work in the back for a while? But if you're short-staffed and you have no ability to, buffer yourself at all, in those kinds of situations, I mean, you just feel like kind of the world is against you, as an employee.
One is tied to some research we even did at the beginning of the year, where we tried to understand what was driving people to visit the physical locations, right? Why aren't you just getting everything delivered to your house now that it's become so easy? And the number one reason is because they know exactly what to expect from the experience. So if you think about it that way, now I'm pulling up and all of a sudden the dining room is closed, or the hours have changed on me and I have no way of knowing, or, my Starbucks isn't letting me do the mobile order ahead. And I've planned my entire morning around, that journey and that timing. And so people are frustrated. A lot of it is because they feel out of control and they're not clear on what to expect, and their expectations aren't being fulfilled in some instances.
Yeah. So in your research, I know you looked at a bunch of different chains. Are there any that seem to be doing it better than others?
There are. So of the 10 that we asked consumers about, we found that Chick-fil-A and Culver's were rising to the top, and they were scoring higher than the others on almost every experience attribute, as well as on the overall satisfaction with the brand experience. And it's really interesting when you look at a Chick-fil-A and their business model, it's so heavily reliant on the employee. And so you're getting a personal contact at so many points along your journey, whether the actual wait time is reduced or the accuracy is better than other places, seems to not be as much of a driver as just having that employee there to guide you and hold your hand along the way. So it's consistently showing up that the employee is valued, it's driving the brand experience, and companies that are really heroing the employee are the ones that are coming out on top.
And what do you think? I mean, do you have a sense of behind the scenes what companies who maybe aren't doing as well, what they could change?
Yeah, we're hearing in the research we're conducting, coming hot off the presses this week, we're hearing a lot about culture and how important culture is. Employees are telling us, I just wanted to be treated with respect and fairness by my manager, by my coworkers. I want there to be a culture of inclusion. So no matter what my beliefs, I'm treated the same as everybody else. I want there to be a culture of recognition. Little things like just, thanking them for showing up for their shift that day, which sounds like a basic expectation, but isn't happening today, right? And so that sort of recognition, it doesn't need to be, a salary increase. It could be something even like a free meal. So if I'm taking my break during an 8-hour shift and I work at a QSR restaurant, I think they should give me something to eat, right? And that's what they're asking for. There's also a huge thread that's surprising me in the research about this idea of being dehumanized. I want to be treated like a person, and I want you to respect me as a human. If I have ideas, I want you to listen, and I want to be heard. And so some of that, we think is very doable to change and improve upon. We're seeing some other things that are more related to the physical environment. I want to be feeling safe, and I want to be feeling comfortable in my environment. And those are things also that we think we can build upon and improve.
Yeah. Just being treated, well goes so far. This reminds me of, this is a side story, but it reminds me of a friend of mine who worked at a QSR, and the rule was if you worked 2 shifts, you could have a meal in the middle, had a free meal on your break. And but they were very strict, and you could only have, you could only have 6 nuggets. And so of course when they took and multiple chains have nuggets, so I'm not giving away who it is. But people would, like, on their break, stuff extra nuggets in the box, but make it look like 6, and so one day my friend had like 8 nuggets stuffed in a box, and his manager comes up, takes the box from him, opens it up, and goes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you're fired.
So that really happened, James?
This is a true story. So my point is here that we got to cut people a little slack. And if you need 8 or 9 nuggets to make it through your day, that should be cool, right?
Well, and what's the cost to the company of those 2 additional nuggets? Right. And it's interesting going to Q4 because this is a time at which most companies are spending their biggest marketing budgets, right? So there's a lot of advertising happening, a lot of brand building happening. And the question is that really where companies should be spending their money this year? Or should they be thinking about that role of the employee in building the brand and potentially, spending differently than they ever have before?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Emily, we're going to move on. Can you stick around for the next story and for the retail challenge?
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right, let's get into it. Here's the third thing we know about retail. And this is just a natural extension of what we're already talking about. It's holiday, supply chain, and staffing fears. So holidays are coming up. Retailers are ramping up. All of the predictions that I've seen, the forecasts show a very strong consumer demand, like big growth this holiday. And retailers are adding workers. Walmart's trying to add 150,000, Amazon 125,000, Target 130,000. As you can imagine, that's a lot of demand to staff up quickly. And that staffing is only half of the worry. The other issue is all of this demand plus COVID has meant we've got crazy stuff going on all through the supply chain. So last month, there was a big news story that there were 73 ships at the port of LA just waiting to dock and come in. So backups at a bunch of ports, not enough shipping containers, not enough trucks, not enough trains. Like everything we need to get stuff into the store is seeing breakdowns. And so some retailers are saying, well, we'll fix it. We'll take it on ourselves. So Walmart and Home Depot, for example, just charted their own ships because they can afford to chart a full cargo ship. Most people cannot do that. Meanwhile, some higher end retailers like Nordstrom are paying to have goods flown, which is very expensive, but it means that they're going to get it on the shelves by the holidays. So the bare shelves, which a lot of people are saying we're going to have some bare shelves during the holidays, are going to be those retailers that have the inability, like can't afford to ship by air or can't afford to pay for a whole cargo ship. So the predictions are big demand and lacking in supply. Electronics is one where I think we're going to see a lot of lacking of supply. How do retailers handle this? I mean, we've talked a bit about, staffing from customer service level, but I mean, what do you do when you've got bare shelves and you've got all these holiday shoppers? Is it just you staff up appropriately?
I think that idea of transparency is going to be more important than ever this holiday. And the buying behavior has been shifting up in recent years because the month of November has become the month of Black Friday, right? And all of the deals. So retailers have been forcing that earlier consumption behavior. The question is now, you're hearing on the news, you should be panic buying all your holiday gifts. I mean, I've been asking my kids to do their Christmas list for about a month now. They haven't done one, so they might be in trouble. But should I be buying everything now? Or are the holiday goods going to be more of a just in time? And so we're going to be shifting that buying pattern to later. There is a real risk that the panic buying gets out of control early in the season. And by the time the actual holiday goods come in, everybody's done spending. So then you're left, we don't want all of these retailers to be left with too much holiday inventory that they then need to clearance out in Q1. So I think the timing is important. And I think the retailers are just going to have to be super transparent with their communication. So again, the consumer understands what to expect. Expectations are set. I think that's going to be really important this year.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Absolutely. Thinking about this, I wonder if we'll see, or if there's a metric to even track this, but if there will be an uptick in like gift cards being purchased, right? Because maybe for a child, a gift card won't replace that toy in their hand. So they might be a little bit less inclined to be appeased by that. But I know that for myself and for other adults, I can imagine that getting the actual, gift from a store versus a gift card is a similar, especially if we all understand that there are delays with fulfillment and, all these supply chain issues. I imagine that, if I'm unable to buy the things I want to buy for my loved ones, a gift card will have to suffice. So I don't know how we would be able to track that, but I'd be interested to see if that is, maybe how we as consumers work around these supply chain issues.
Yeah. And the classic move, if you don't do the gift card, is like you pre-order the thing and then I'll like print out a picture of it and fold up the picture and put it in a card and say, it's on its way.
Like an IOU, but it's actually
coming. Yeah. I did pay for this. It's just going to take 3 to 6 weeks to get here.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, whatever happens in the holidays, we will talk about it and much more to come. But right now, it's time for something we call the Retail Challenge. Are you ready, Emily, to embark upon the Retail Challenge?
I'm not sure.
Well, the Retail Challenge, we're going to do 3 questions. We're going to do 1 point per question. This is Emily versus Ebere. The winner actually do have a virtual prize this week, which will be revealed at the end. If you are watching live, type in your answers in the comments as we go. If you're the first person to answer correctly in the chat, you'll win the eternal admiration of your peers, which is all we're really looking for at the end of the day. Okay, guys, question number 1, it's about Kanye and Gap. We've talked about it in the past. The first Kanye item was the $200 puffer jacket from Gap. They have just released the second item. So this is a Kanye Gap collab. Which one of these is it? Is it first this cotton hoodie that looks pretty much like the ones that I wore in high school? Is it the Jesus is King socks? Or is it the ramen chicken noodle hoodie? Which one is the newest Kanye Gap collab item? Emily, since you're our guest, I'm going to let you go first.
Oh gosh, I could probably argue any of them. Just for shock factor, I'm going to go with the hoodie.
Okay, you're going to go with the purple hoodie.
Sorry, yes, the purple hoodie.
Okay, Ebere, what do you got?
I'm going to go with the purple hoodie as well, although the ramen one seems right up his alley too.
I know, it's tough.
Well, guys, you are both correct. The $90 cotton hoodie that looks pretty much like ones that I wore in high school comes in 6 colors. It sold out in less than 24 hours, so these are kind of limited items. But those other 2 do exist, and you can get them. The Jesus is King socks was a collab with LA Apparel in 2019, and those originally sold for $20, and I think they're on the resale market for a lot more than that, like $60. And then the ramen chicken noodle hoodie, that's just a hoodie that's for sale on Amazon that I found.
That is fascinating.
If you want one, guys, it's only $19.99, and it is also available in beef and shrimp.
Thank God.
There's so many great new ramen noodle flavors out there that our college students around the world can explore together.
You know what, James? You mentioned that this hoodie looks like something you wore in high school, and it probably was exactly that, because I know that like Urban Outfitters and other retailers like that have made a lot of money in selling like Champion hoodies that we all used to wear when we were younger and we bought from Modell's. And now that they're being sold from Urban for like $60, $70, now they're like chic and, fashion forward. So I would not be surprised if it was a very similar design to what you used to wear.
Well, the business model of Urban Outfitters is to sell the older generation's youth to the newer generation. That's just the pure business model.
Definitely. And they've been succeeding with that.
Okay, guys, after 1 round, you each have 1 point. So you guys are kicking it. All right, so here's our next question. So Burger King is testing the meatless nugget. They're doing a partnership with Impossible Meats. They're going to be testing in 3 markets, Des Moines, Miami, and Boston. And if you live in one of those cities, they're going to be on sale starting October 11th, so just around the corner. Concurrently with that, Burger King also announced a new limited menu item that's going to be rolling out nationally just for Halloween season. What is that new BK menu item? Is it the mystery breakfast taco made with eggs, bacon, cheese, and a secret mystery sauce that sort of tastes like sriracha? Is it the ghost pepper nuggets These are spooky nugs to haunt your taste buds. Or is it spider bites, which are little dessert cookies that look like spiders? Which one of these three is the actual limited menu item from BK? Ebere, since Emily went first last time, I'll let you go first this time.
I'm gonna have to go with the ghost nuggets only because I don't see Burger King doing whatever this burrito situation on the left looks like, and yeah, I'm gonna say ghost nuggets for that reason.
All right, Emily, what do you think?
Well, I was also going to say ghost nuggets, but to make it more interesting, I'm going to go with the mystery breakfast burrito.
Okay.
All right. Well, the answer is the ghost pepper nuggets.
You're too altruistic, Emily. You let me have
it. And I will say, so the other two I made up, but I will say that there is a breakfast burrito that looks pretty similar to that on the BK menu. So you're not too far off.
Doable.
And I got to tell you guys, holiday season, apparently, I didn't even quite realize this. It's a big time for limited items. There's a bunch of chains that are doing stuff. So if you're at Dunkin' Donuts, you can get the ghost pepper donut, which, okay. IHOP is having a Mr. Mummy pancake, and Papa John's has the jack-o'-lantern pizza, which is a pepperoni pizza that's made to look like a jack-o'-lantern. So you can do all that stuff if you want. After 2 questions, our points are Ebere with 2, Emily with 1. All right, so Emily, you've got a chance to tie it up right now. And it's time to get into the movies, and we're talking about James Bond. So after many postponements, No Time to Die is opening in the U.S. It opens tomorrow. Yes, it opens tomorrow in the U.S. Actually, much of the world has already seen this movie. It opened over the weekend in the U.K. It did $35 million US in box office in the U.K. alone over the weekend. It is now already the top 5 opening weekend of all time in the UK. Wow. While you guys are waiting for it to come to the US, you can catch up a little bit by watching one of the many classic Bond movies. So guys, which one of these 3 titles is a real classic James Bond movie? Is it Dr. Gold, Thunderkill, or The Man with the Golden Gun? Emily, I'll let you go first. Which one of these is a real James Bond movie?
I was hoping you were going to ask who attended the premiere. I've got all kinds of social media consumption around this current movie, but I am not good with my James Bond history. I'm going to say Thunderkill.
All right, so you're choosing Thunderkill. Ebere, I have no idea how you are with James Bond, so what do you think?
I'm not with James Bond, so I'm just gonna guess The Man with the Golden Gun.
Okay, so Emily has Thunderkill, Ebere has Man with the Golden Gun. The actual answer is The Man with the Golden Gun. Ebere, you're knocking it out of the park today.
Man, I'm a pro. I'm a pro at this. Come on.
Wow. Yeah. So The Man with the Golden Gun, which I love old movies, so I've definitely seen every James Bond movie. Man with the Golden Gun, pretty weird. It's like late 60s, early 70s, little trippy, kind of doesn't make sense. I think at the time it came out, it wasn't that popular, but it's definitely one to check out. Another thing I should say is it took me a long time to find a poster for The Man with the Golden Gun that wasn't riddled with misogyny.
Yikes.
It's like I'd find a poster and I'd be like, oh, no, I can't use this. And then another one I'd be like, oh, no, I can't use this. Finally, I found this one, which is just him standing there with a gun. But anyway, that's a story for another day. Okay, so 3 questions. Ebere, you had 3 points. Emily, 1 point. So I think our winner is going to be Ebere. And Ebere, what you win is 5 seconds of the world's greatest winner animated GIF starting right now because you are a true winner. And
that was awesome.
You know, that GIF, maybe we'll make an NFT out of that gift and you'll win, I don't know, whatever NFTs are. You know, like I know it's related. We've talked about it anyway. I don't know what I'm talking about. We definitely need to create NFTs and give them away. That's something we can afford because they're digital, so they don't cost any money.
True. But until then, I share this winner with Emily because you were a formidable opponent. So
thank you so much.
Great job, Emily. Great job, Ebere. Emily, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, we will have you on again soon. So Ebere, for folks that are enjoying our show today and want more, I would recommend checking out our podcast that's called Where We Buy. And it is way more in depth. We do usually half an hour, 40-minute interviews with experts. Latest episode is with Andrea Wasserman, who is the former digital head at Yahoo, talking about how they create live shoppable video and also giving her tips on how retailers can do a better job at creating video. So you can find Where We Buy in whatever podcast app you use or on wherewebuy.show.
For sure. And I would tell people that if they enjoyed this show that we're on right now, be sure to hit the subscribe button on YouTube and click on the little bell icon so that you're notified when new shows come out each week. You can also follow the JLL retail page on LinkedIn, or you can find new episodes every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern at everythingweknow.show.
Yes. And I would recommend following JLL Retail on LinkedIn because that's kind of the place where more people tend to congregate and you've got live viewers that you can chat and interact with. But Ebere, I'm just kind of curious, what else do you know about retail?
James, next week.